Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Valentine's Day edition, February 14th of Carry Your Cross. I'm so thankful again. Thank you for tuning in today. And I so enjoy just doing this consistently from week to week. And you know, folks, every single one of us go through times of sickness or trouble or anxiety or suffering. And I believe at times we've all asked three things of God. We have asked why, what, or when. Number one, why, God, are you allowing this to happen in my life? Or number two, what am I supposed to do now that I'm in the midst of this conflict? Or maybe number three, what will or when will it be over? We've all asked all of those questions, and I'm sure when you're going through a time of discouragement or temptation or trials or whatever, you have asked many more questions. And each phrase, I believe, is a valid expression of how we are feeling. God understands how we are feeling. He understands the emotion that we have when we're going through some things that we do not understand. And this past week, I read a couple of statements from an author by the name of Michael Kelly. Now, I don't know Michael Kelly, but I'm just going to read this. He says, "Several weeks ago, I had a wonderfully hopeful conversation with an older saint who has known and continues to know significant difficulty and suffering in her life. There was one phrase she used that was incredibly powerful, a phrase that can change if we take it in faith, the manner in which we move through seasons of difficulty in life." And here's what she said, and this is what Kelly said in this article, quote, "God has trusted me with this." And I read that, and to me, that is very profound. Because when we're going through times of struggles, when we're going through temptation, when we're going through sickness or anxiety or suffering, have you ever embraced that statement, well, God has trusted me with this? I don't think I ever have. And maybe you haven't either. But the more I think about it, this woman's trust is totally evident within this statement that she made. And this phrase reflects a different and more mature way to look at things. Why? Because it's a statement of stewardship based upon her experience. Now, many times we think of stewardship as it involves money or property or things that we oversee, and that's not wrong. I mean, surely the Bible teaches us that when God blesses us with material things, then we are to be good stewards of whatever those things might be. But back to this woman's statement, it is also a statement of stewardship because she understands that God is above her, and she also understands that God has entrusted her to go through this particular situation. And when you come to Philippians chapter 1, verse 29, Paul alludes to this as well, where he writes, "For to you it has been granted for Christ's sake, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake." And see, when we're walking on the mountaintop, everything is fine in our lives, we tend to maybe forget about God. But then when we're going through the valleys of struggle, that's when many times God comes into the forefront, because we have to make a decision. Either we're going to run to God and embrace him, or we're going to run away from God and we're going to blame him for the situation that we find ourselves in. And back to this woman who said, God has trusted me with this. Which do you think she did? She embraced God in the midst of her trials, in the midst of her struggles. She understood that God had allowed this for maybe a very specific reason. Maybe she hadn't realized that reason as of yet, but that doesn't mean that somewhere down the line she came to understand why she was going through this. And many times we continue to ask questions, do we not? Why has God entrusted this experience to me? Why has God entrusted me to go through this financial difficulty? Or why has God entrusted me to go through this time where cancer has invaded my body? Or why has God entrusted me with this difficult relationship? I pray that you understand that God always has our best interest at heart. He always wants the best for us. And sometimes He allows circumstances to come into our lives to teach us lessons that otherwise we would not have learned. So today, if you find yourself in a struggle, if you find yourself dealing with anxiety, or if you're in the midst of suffering or maybe even sickness, I pray that you would embrace that statement, that same statement that this wonderful woman made. God has trusted or entrusted me with this, because as I go through it, I'm going to learn the lessons that God has for me. Until next time, this is Pastor Lane Collins, right here at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. If you have a relationship with Jesus, I pray that you would continue to carry your cross into this dark and lonely world, and you would be a source of encouragement to others. But if you have never embraced Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I pray that you would consider Him today. I love you, and God bless you.